In this video, we are going to call this endpoint to show that indeed a user is logged in or not. So if I hit send, we have the login user with the authentication being set to true with this information. We are going to achieve this on the front end. So let me copy this URL and let's get back to the front end, and we are going to create API service under the users, and let me collapse this and likewise this, and let's go ahead and create one for the authentication status. Alright, so let me copy one of these and then paste it here, and I'm gonna change this one to check authentication status, or let me say check off status. And let me add the API at the end. And here the base endpoint is going to be authenticated. That is check authenticated. And for this is going to be get method as that. And for this, remove this. But this one is important, and that is object with this property, and that is with credentials being set to true. This configuration means that it will take the token in the cookie and send along with the request. So here we don't need any payload. So here as check authentication API for a user. Now, where are we going to call this one? We are going to call it as soon as our application got launched. But for the meantime, let's move step by step. And we are going to call this one inside the login page. Because of that, we are going to create a dummy component called profile. So inside the component and then the users, let's create one called profile.jsx, and let's scaffold it, and let's go ahead and mount it. And let me duplicate this one as profile. Supposed to be this one instead as profile. And then the endpoint is going to be /profile. So inside the login, as soon as a user logs in, we are going to redirect the user to the profile page. So inside the login over here, after logging in, we are going to redirect the user to the profile page as that. And this is where we are going to call the check off status and also dispatch the action and take the value and save it into the store. So let's continue over here inside the profile, but let's try out to make sure that indeed it is working. And let me copy this login details as Masintech and provide as that, and then the password and login. As you can see, the profile component has been rendered. So let's go ahead and then dispatch the action and call the use query. So let's get to the post component. In this case, this one, we have a function to fetch the post, which is this. So let me copy that and back to the profile component, paste that. And here we will need the use query, and then we will need the check status API, and I will say user off here, user dash off, and that is it. So let's log the data from the request. Now let's check in the console, and we have the object. As you can see, we have the same property as on the backend. It's authenticated, is true, profile, username and ID, which is the same as the one you see over here under the check user off. So now we have the user here. So we are going to place this user in our store to have it here. So how are we going to do it? And we are going to dispatch the action. So we will need what is called use dispatch from React Redux. Let me bring this one up here. So down here, I will say dispatch the action or Redux action as const dispatch is equal to use dispatch. And let's bring in use effect as that, and the second argument is going to be array of the dependencies. So here is going to depend on the data from the backend, and inside we are going to dispatch, and then the action is called is logged in. Let me check the action in the store, which is authenticated. So here as, let me require it here as is authenticated action, and then dispatch that and pass in the action, and in here it takes in what is called the payload. So here we're going to pass in the data from React query as that, supposed to be data as that. So now in the slice of this, we have what is called payload. This payload represents the actual data that we pass in into the action. So now with this one, let's see if I refresh it, and let's open our dev tool, and let's see, which is this one, and now we have these actions being dispatched. First of all, we have this, and we got now, and the second action, and the third one, this is where we have the actual data. So as you can see, we have the user in our store. So now we can check in case a user is logged in by checking the data in our store. How cool it is. Based on this one, we can hide the navbar also, likewise some links. Alright, so let's continue in the next video.